A couple weeks ago, we shared our top 10 countries on our Plan B list for second residency.
Yeah, we're still U.S. citizens and we don't plan to change that. And now that we're permanent residents in Ecuador and our dogs are gone, it's time to add a third country to the list of places we call home.
It wasn't easy to narrow down that list, and we crossed off a few places that surprised even us.
Yeah, our choices generated a lot of comments from you, people asking why we didn't include certain countries and also asking why we didn't talk about retirement visas.
So in this video, we're going to share our criteria we used to select our top 10 countries, and then we're going to explain why we eliminated others, including Mexico, Colombia, and Uruguay, and some other countries.
But before we dive in, hit that subscribe button if you're planning a trip or move abroad, because that's what we talk about on this channel.
First things first, here's the criteria we use to select our new potential third home, starting with visa options. We are not retired, so we are not collecting our pensions yet or our Social Security, and we're not ready. We don't have the money to do an investor visa, so the digital nomad visas work pretty well for us.
The second criteria was safety. If we're going to leave Ecuador, it would be really nice to have a third home that's actually safer than our first two, and the US and Ecuador are just not that safe right now.
We also want a country that is tax friendly, because as US citizens, we have to continue to pay our taxes no matter where we live in the world, or even if we live on the moon for that matter. So we're interested in countries that are territorial tax countries, or where we can live where they have more tax benefits for us US citizens.
Yeah, we don't want to pay over half our income in taxes. We also wanted a place that doesn't have brutal winters. Some of these places on our top 10 list do have winter, and they do get a little snow sometimes, but they're nothing like Chicago or Kansas in the winter.
Yeah, there's no way. I do not miss that at all. And finally, we wanted to stay somewhat close to the US. I know a lot of people asked about Southeast Asia, and that is just, for me, is too far. We have aging parents, so we want to make sure we can get home pretty quickly. And also, I still work for my company in Denver part-time, which means I don't want to have to work in the middle of the night, and that 12-hour time change would be quite the challenge.
Yeah, I had to work really hard to convince her to add Malaysia onto that list.
And now let's take a look at the countries that didn't make our list but are still really awesome, starting with Ireland. We did check into Ireland, but they do not have a digital nomad visa. They do have a retirement visa, and for that you need 50,000 euros per year for one person, or 100,000 euros per year for a couple. And the cost of living is higher there compared to other countries on our list. However, it is a great area because it is very safe, coming in at number 3 on the Global Peace Index. And it is also known for its excellent healthcare. It's ranked number 6 by CEO World. So if you could afford it, Ireland is a great option.
Next on our list is Vietnam. Unfortunately, Vietnam is in Southeast Asia, too far for Amelia. She doesn't want to work in the middle of the night, or doesn't want to have to spend 24 hours on a plane to get back home on short notice if we need to. They also do not have a digital nomad visa. They don't have an official retirement visa either, but you can apply for a 6-month or 1-year visa, but you can only stay in the country for 3 months at a time. So that means you have to make visa runs. It's also ranked 41 on the Global Peace Index, so it is pretty safe.
A lot of you asked about Uruguay, and they do have a new digital nomad visa, but we would each have to apply for that separately, and we're not sure how that would work because we have a single person LLC, so we're not sure how it would work with the whole income qualifications. And you know what? We've got other countries to check out. They do also have a retirement visa, and for that you need $1,500 a month, so that is affordable for a lot of people. It does rank high in safety, coming in at 50 on the Global Peace Index, and they have pretty good healthcare. They're ranked number 63 by CEO World. I know a lot of people are interested too because Uruguay is known to be more developed and have more of a European feel, which is pretty appealing.
And right next door, Argentina didn't make our list either for a few reasons. The first is they made some changes to their visa requirements, and now you need 5 times the monthly minimum wage, which is about $1,800 per month for the rentista and retirement visa. And you have to deposit money into a bank account, although it can be in US dollars, so you don't immediately get hit with that negative exchange rate and the peso inflation. However, the big drawback for us is that they tax worldwide income after you stay in the country for more than 183 days, and half of our income would go to taxes when you tack on our US-based taxes. It ranks higher for safety, coming in at 54 on the Global Peace Index, and they also have good healthcare, ranks number 67 on CEO World. The cost of living is awesome if you can pay for everything with credit cards, but if you convert your money into pesos, it's pretty much losing value by the day. So that money, when you go to convert it back to dollars, it's going to be worth less.
Staying in the Horn of South America, let's talk about Chile. Unfortunately, Chile does not have a digital nomad visa. They do have a retirement visa, but they don't have a published required income amount. So if you're interested in moving there, you would need to check with a visa agent or immigration attorney. It does rank pretty well on the Global Peace Index, coming in at 58. And the healthcare is not as good as Ecuador, at least according to CEO World, because that comes in at 86.
Next on our list is Cambodia. They do have an e-visa, which would work for us, but it's still too far. Amelia doesn't like working at night. So you also need a monthly pension or retirement income of at least $800, which is actually really affordable for a lot of people. And they rank number 73 on the Global Peace Index, which is actually not much better than Ecuador.
Thailand is the next country on our list, but it is still too far. That time change is not working for me. And sorry, JP, I don't think it works for you either. Also, they don't have a specific visa that would work for us. They do have a retirement visa, and for that you need at least around $1,800 a month or $22,400 in savings, but apparently you could do a combo of the two. Again, check with the visa agent. The funds do have to be deposited into a Thai bank account. They have something called their elite visa, but I read that they're making some changes to that, so I'm not sure if that'll have any impacts on the retirement visas. As far as safety goes, Thailand is ranked number 92 on the Global Peace Index, so it's pretty similar to Ecuador, but they rank number 83 for healthcare, so it's a little bit worse.
Georgia is next on our list of eliminated countries, and this is a little bit too close to Russia and the Ukraine war for us, and also Azerbaijan and Armenia just had a little kerfuffle, so it's kind of sandwiched into a little bit of a tumultuous region over there, so we'd like to avoid that. They do have a digital nomad visa, though, that would work for us, and you can stay up to 365 days without a visa. It's ranked 94 on the Global Peace Index, which is about the same as Ecuador. And it ranks 51 for healthcare, which is actually a little better than Ecuador. The Philippines is next. We had a ton of people asking us on a lot of our videos why we aren't looking at the Philippines. The main reason is just too far. And the second main reason is they don't have a visa that will work for us. They don't have a digital nomad visa yet. They're supposed to have that in 2024. They do have a retirement visa. You need $800 a month, and you have to deposit $10,000 in a Filipino bank account. It's ranked 115 on the Global Peace Index, so not as good as Ecuador. They're ranked 87 for healthcare, so also not as good as Ecuador.
Now let's talk about Nicaragua. They also do not have a digital nomad visa, but they do have a retirement visa. And for that one, you need to have an income of $1,250 per month. But again, they rank worse than Ecuador in terms of safety. They come in at 123. They don't have a ranking for healthcare, but we have heard that they are not known for great healthcare. So it's not a big incentive for us to leave Ecuador and go there.
Brazil is another country that we had a lot of questions about. Why aren't we talking about Brazil? Well, they do have a digital nomad visa that would work for us, so it is an option. We just have to prove $1,500 per month in income. The retirement visa, you need passive income of at least $2,000 per month, and you're not supposed to work on that. They're ranked 132 on the Global Peace Index, one of the few countries we even considered that is worse than both Ecuador and the United States. So again, people are telling us that we need to move to a country that's safer than Ecuador. Well, why would we move to a country that's less safe? That doesn't make any sense. We know a lot of Brazil is awesome, and there are safe areas and dangerous areas, just like there are in the US and in Ecuador, but it just doesn't really fit a lot of the other things that we're looking for. However, they do have good healthcare, which is one thing we are looking for. They rank 38th by CEO World.
Turkey is another country we eliminated. They do not have a digital nomad visa, but they do have a short-term residence visa, and you don't only need $500 per month to qualify for that. They do have an investor visa, but that is out of our reach at $250,000. And they rank pretty low on that Global Peace Index. They're at 147, but they're ranked number 60 for healthcare. And I know they're a pretty popular country to go to for affordable cosmetic procedures, if that is your thing. Let's talk about Peru. They also do not have a digital nomad visa, but they do have a retirement visa. And for that, you need $1,000 a month. But here's the thing. They are right next to Ecuador. We already live in Ecuador and we love it. So we don't really see the big appeal of moving next door to Peru, especially because that is where a lot of these whole issues with the drugs are coming from. And they rank lower than Ecuador for safety, coming in at 103. And their healthcare is actually about the same. They rank number 80.
Colombia is next on the list. They do have a digital nomad visa that would work for us. We just have to show $700 per month in income for the last 3 months. That does vary based on the current exchange rate. For their retirement visa, you need around $800 per month, but you can't work on that. And it's right next door to Ecuador. If we're looking for some more diversification in our living arrangements for our third home, it really doesn't make any sense to go right next door to Colombia. Plus, it's not as safe as Ecuador, despite all of the international news media. Colombia is like the hotbed for a lot of the stuff that is going on in Ecuador. So it doesn't make a lot of sense for us if we want to live in a safer country to go to one that's like equally or more dangerous. They're ranked number 140 on the Global Peace Index, which is a lot worse than Ecuador. They also rank 81 for healthcare, which is also worse than Ecuador.
And finally, we did not include Mexico on our list because even though we love Mexico, we have been there so many times and we wanted to go to some other new places and have more geographical diversification for our third home. But they do have a 6-month tourist visa, so you could go there and hang out for 6 months or apply for one of the many residency visas they have. The income requirements and all the other criteria vary depending upon the consulate, so you'll have to work with an agent for that. And also, Mexico, we know there's good places and bad places. Mexico ranks lower for safety compared to Ecuador. They come in at 136 on the Global Peace Index. And we know the whole country is not unsafe, but we have to have some sort of measurement criteria. However, Mexico has great healthcare. They come in at number 45.
So even though none of these countries meet our criteria for a third home, it doesn't mean they aren't great choices and they might work great for you.
We are not retired with a pension and we do not have enough money to do one of those big fat investor visas. So our choices are a little bit more limited.
Yeah, we have to rely on the digital nomad visas or passive income visas, and there's just not a lot of those available yet.
That's also one of the reasons why we chose Ecuador all those years ago. We qualified for the professional visa and there weren't other visas out there like that.
If you missed the video where we talked about the top 10 choices for our third home, you can watch that next by clicking here.
And let us know in the comments what you think about these countries and the criteria we use to eliminate them from our list.
All right, guys, before you go, leave us a like, please. We really appreciate that. We'll see you all in our next video.
Ciao.
Ciao.